Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Dramaturgy Podcast. In this episode, I am continuing on my review of Unwritten Seoul, which I covered in the last two episodes of this podcast. And I just want to say, guys, disclaimer, I am not going to cover this week to week. Like, the fact that I've covered it 3 times in a row does not mean I'll cover it next week. Just so you know, so you're not disappointed. I'm enjoying it so much that I keep covering it, but it's not my intention. I just cannot somehow bring myself to stop. So I do not promise I will keep covering this to the very last episode. So nobody expect that from me, because I don't know if I can deliver on that. I could get bored and decide I'm no longer watching this, or something could happen and I see a new drama I like and I want to cover that. So just a disclaimer that I am not covering this week to week. Okay. But yeah, now that I've said that, let's get right into it, because these last two episodes, episodes 5 and 6, were very, very good, and we get more information about characters, and I think the relationships also develop in this last two episodes. So coming from last week, episode 4, we end the episode on the rooftop where Hosu is telling Mi-rae about the fact that Mi-rae is his first love, and she's rightfully shocked, and she wants to know how that is. Like, she was sure that Mi-rae and Hosu were dating in high school, so she's trying to like figure out that, and she's so shocked by it, right? And so we get a little flashback about kind of why Hosu fell in love with her, right? It's a lot of her goodness, of the fact that she waited for him and was there for him when nobody else was, right, in this mountain area, right? So it was nice seeing that. It's nice to kind of see why Osu likes her, right? Even though, yeah, to an extent, Mi-rae is very lovable, despite the fact that she feels like she hasn't achieved a lot. I think that she's just a naturally good person, that she kind of devalues herself when she really should not, right? And so I like how she was so shocked by that fact that, like, really? Like, he liked me? How did I not know this? Because she obviously misunderstood and all these things. And obviously we all knew it was a misunderstanding, right? But yeah, that was how the episode basically started. From that, you see that Hosu is still very confused about everything. You see that he's still not sure that Mi-rae is the one he likes, or whether it's Mi-rae now, right? And so he's very confused and conflicted, and I think talking to his co-worker really let him solidify the fact that he has to clear this up. And so he goes back to their town to talk to who he thinks is Mi-rae, and he thinks, oh wow, she's so different all of a sudden, right? It was more awkward and everything. And I really feel bad for him, or I did. Like, I felt that like he was going through a lot, and the twins just made it really difficult for him, especially Mi-rae. She really gaslit him. He just could not even begin to think that she might still be lying about it, right? So I do find that him going back did not really help anything, and if only, I feel like he solidified the fact that he might like Mi-rae, which obviously he does not, right? But it definitely got him more confused than solving things for him, right? It's very funny because now that like we kind of know that Mi-rae and also like each other, it's kind of funny when I think about their parents and the fact that their parents think that like they are seeing different people, and they are not. Like, they think that like also one things that Mi-rae is seeing the strawberry man and the farmer, and obviously like Mi-rae's mom is like, no, it's not good enough for my daughter and all that thing, right? And it's very funny when they finally find out that like it's actually Mi-rae and Hosu that have a thing. But yeah, I think I also just like the fact that their relationship is continues to develop, and they're getting closer and closer. They have a lot of shared experiences, and they have a lot of like things they can comfort each other on. They are very like gone through a lot of things together, right? So I think that I just like seeing their shenanigans, and even though they're a little competitive, a lot of it is still kind of like out of love, right? And even though they won't admit that, of course, but yeah, I really like seeing their relationship as well get better. Back in Seoul, Mi-rae is obviously trying to help her client. She's trying to do what she thinks is best for Mi-rae, and trying to do work, even though obviously Mi-rae, if she found out, she would blow a gasket, right? But like, she's trying to really help Mi-rae, and I think it's good that it's her, because clearly Mi-rae went through sexual assault by somebody, I think, in headquarters, right? And I think that that's kind of what has affected her career, right? And I think that Mi-rae is something that she could not handle that, and so that's why she left. But because Miji doesn't know anything about it, she can kind of just walk in and be shameless about it. And so even though people are talking behind her back and stuff like that and feeling pity for and all these things, she really does not understand. And so to an extent it plays in her favor. It plays in Mi-rae's favor, that is, that she doesn't really know. So she just comes out as shameless, right? And I really like that. And I hope that, she's able to kind of help Mi-rae go through that hurdle that obviously Mi-rae cannot go through, because as we see back in the town that they are in, Mi-rae is struggling with the rumor that she's dating, or that Miji is dating the strawberry farmer, right? Because she's like, that makes no sense. And you can tell that Mi-rae has always been a girl that she just did not understand, like, the stupidity of human beings to just like spread rumors like that, because she's just not that type of person, right? She could not even tell Miji that, like, listen, Hoso actually likes you, because she felt like obviously she knew and she just didn't think that it was something she had to mention, right? She's just the kind of person that she's not want to talk a lot anyways, right? So she never understood why everybody else does, right? And so you can see how that affects her, and she basically quits the farm, and tells the farmer that she's leaving, and obviously doesn't understand. And I really like the farmer because he's very different from her, even though he's also gone through trauma, like losing his like grandfather and everything. But you can tell that what he values are things that will help Mi-rae in a lot of ways. He does not think too much, and stuff like that I think Mi-rae needs in her life. And so it will be very good, like, I think, to see them get closer and grow as a couple. I will say that, so the company that Mi-rae works for has hired Osu's former boss to like be their legal representative, and I think part of why he's doing that is because, like, he knows that Hosu is the one taking on the case for the restaurant owner. And I don't understand why he's still angry. Like, he's coming off as very vindictive, right? That is Hosu's former boss, and that, like, Kelly has a lot of personal feelings about Osu, and I don't know what he's trying to do about that. Like, I just don't get why he's being this difficult over Hosu, right? Especially for someone that you trusted a while ago, you understand kind of his thought process, and you still decide that you want to like hurt him in some way, right? So I don't know how that's gonna actually play out, but we'll see. Like, I hope that the fact that he gave Miji, right, that information about the fact that they were building this like whole thing in that area, and so technically I think she could ask for more money. I think he did it on purpose, because I think he knows that Hosu and Mi-rae, or who he thinks is Mi-rae, share information of some sort, right? So I think that he did it on purpose, but I just don't know why, right? Like, what's the benefit if they know that the land is worth more? But I just feel like there's something about it, right? And obviously there's something about the restaurant owner as well, because clearly she's not who she says she is, and that, I think, is going to affect her legitimacy on whether she owns that restaurant. That might be something that plays in, so we'll see how it works with that. But anyway, back to Hosu and is new found admirer, right? Their childhood friend. It's interesting because obviously I didn't really think much of them, right? Because obviously Hosu is like knee deep in his love for Miji, so clearly no one else even compares for him, right? That ship has sailed a long time ago, right? But I do find it interesting that at first I was like, what's going on here and everything. But as time goes on, especially in this scene where you see how he kind of comforts her about the fact that she's a contract worker, because obviously her life is not as glamorous as she's made it to seem, right? And she's obviously going through a lot of workplace issues, just like Mi-rae is, and they're all trying to figure this out. Even Hosu, even Miji, like everybody seems to be figuring it out, right? And so I think she thought that she had something to show for when she was, with Hosu, but she just finds out that Hosu has always known she was on contract, right? And she just like loses it, and she's like, you can tell that she's embarrassed about it, and that's where the projection is coming from. But I really like how also was able to like get her to see things in a different way. And that was, I think, the moment I was like, oh, they actually have good chemistry, which is interesting. Like, also actually works with anybody because also is just a great person, right? And so even though she's like highly materialistic and everything, you see that moment where she realizes that she gets no judgment. There is no judgment from Hosu, right? And so I think that, at the beginning for her was the fact that he was a lawyer, but I think that that's actually the kind of person that makes you fall in love really deeply that you can't get out of. Like, I feel like when you meet someone that is that pure, you tend to want to be around them, and I think that was what happened for her, right? That she genuinely started to actually like Hosu because he's just a lovable person, right? And so I really like their whole thing, even though I know it's not going anywhere, because as we know, at the beginning of episode 6, at the end of episode 6, that's when they revealed the fact that Hosu now knows, or does know, and has known the whole episode, that Mi-rae is actually Miji, right? Clearly she confessed it in the middle of the night, and that's how that was revealed, right? So the end of episode 6, he already kind of knows. And one thing I'll say that's interesting about that fact, and just this swap they've done, right, is that I think the twins give themselves too much credit, or should I say they give the people around them too little credit, right? Hosu is like sure of who Miji is because to an extent he likes her, right? And so he's more attentive towards what she looks like, right? The mom is a weird case, I will say. She's the only one that makes no sense, and I think even like plot wise or writing wise, it also makes no sense. There's no way their mom will not be able to tell them apart, right? But I mean, the grandma can tell them apart, the dad could tell them apart, right? It's interesting to me though that other than those people, I think their friends too can tell them apart, right? And it's not because I think that like they don't not look alike. They do look alike, and that plays into it for a time being. But I really like the scene where their childhood friend Gyeonggu, who is technically Miji's ex-boyfriend, figures it out and he's like, "You're not Miji, are you?" Right? I really like that scene because it kind of just made you understand that actually both Miji and Mi-rae have shared things with different people that makes them recognizable, right? Because obviously Miji is such a close friend to Gyeonggu, right? He may pick up on the fact that she doesn't know that he's gay, right? Or that he used to like, their classmate, right? And that immediately like tells him all he needs to know, right? So some people need more help, but they do get there. Same with their other friend that is courting Hosu, right? When Hosu wants to go to Miji, right? Who obviously everybody thinks is Mi-rae, right? She holds him back and says, that's Miji, right? And I really like that because actually we never get the scene where it becomes obvious to her really, right? But even for her, she can tell that, no, I know these two apart, right? I've spent enough time with these two people to know like who is who, right? So I feel like actually, other than like I would say Mi-rae's workplace, right? Who obviously don't spend enough time with them as like friends. Everybody else actually knows who they are very well, and they can kind of tell them apart more than they think, right? And I really actually like that like actually they think that like they are this like identical, unrecognizable, blah 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 twins, but actually the people that know them know who they are, right? And I like the fact that was in there, that was written in there. I also like the fact that this whole time Hosu knew about it, and again Hosu is this kind of like pure person, is this kind of non-malicious person, understanding person that like he knew that Gyeonggu was gay, never said anything about it, but his own was to protect Miji in that scenario. And I just really like that, and it's interesting to me that he knew this whole time that Gyeonggu was gay and never really spoke to Miji about his crush for her, right? Because I don't know if he thinks that Miji thinks that Gyeonggu really likes her, right? I think he might have thought he was protecting her feelings or something, but still I find it very interesting that like he was willing to go that far for her, right? And so when they made up again and he piggybacks her, It's so sweet the way she just leans in to his shoulder, and oh god, I think that they have such good chemistry. Honestly, I don't know what to say. But yeah, I just really like them as a couple. Mi-rae and the farmer are also progressing really well. And I mean, he says at the end of episode 6 that like he's happy about the rumors. And I don't know if he's like going to make a joke about that next week and just be like, oh no, I'm joking, or I mean it like this, as opposed to meaning that like I like you, because he's that kind of personality. But we'll see. So everybody's progressing really well. Everybody is developing really well. Everybody that I thought was kind of 2D, like the friend that is a contract worker, you find out like there's more to her, right? She's also struggling. Yes, she likes her job and everything, but she's still struggling within that, right? The only person that I would say that I want to get more about him, and his kind of motive for doing what he's doing is the lawyer boss of Osu, right? The former boss of Osu, because I just want to understand why he is deciding to take on this case. Out of like spy, like what is it, right? Um, I'm also curious about the restaurant owner, lady, and what her story is, in terms of like clearly she's not who she says she is, right? So what is the story there? So yeah, I really look forward to this. I look forward to it every time. Oh, one thing else that I am curious about is Mi-rae's colleague that's been helping her these days, right? Clearly he's doing double agents. And I want to know why, right? Because obviously he's not sincere enough, right? So I want to know what his own is, right? And obviously there are some people that we've not met at all, like the park guy that obviously I think was the one that sexually assaulted Mi-rae, right? According to like the preview of episode 7, it seems that like Mi-rae, or Miji, that is, quote unquote, right, she's gonna meet that man's wife or someone. Like obviously I think the woman came into the office and like caused a storm and really embarrassed her, and that's part of why there are issues and everything. And I think that's when she maybe, this is me like giving my own theory of what happened. I think that it was from that she might have like accused him of sexual assault and all that, right? So I think it's like it's her word against his, but like she's been painted as this homewrecker, and no one's believing her and stuff like that. So we'll see how it plays out in the incoming episodes. I am curious. And I just honestly, this drama has been so good so far. There are like so many things that make this beautiful, but I think that the performance and the story is just amazing, honestly. And I have no notes. Perfect, honestly, just so perfect. So yeah, that's what I have to say in this episode. I am just in love with this drama, honestly. So yeah, thank you guys so much for listening, and until next time, see ya. Bye.